He's David.
And he's Doug.
He's wearing a dinosaur costume.
And he's got Wolverine touching his nipples.
And together we are 2D. And now it's the moment you've all been waiting for, because there's nothing big and interesting coming out later this month, is
Not
there,
at all.
Liam?
There's no more films ever.
Nah. There's nothing interesting coming out.
It's not like we're missing a major blockbuster, you know. We're just gonna-
Yeah, it's certainly nothing to do
Nothing
with,
special.
like, lasers, swords,
Or
and...
Jedi people.
Nah, nothing to do with that.
Yeah, we'll just
So-
pretend that doesn't happen. Yeah.
And so we're doing the end of year top 10.
Yeah, top 10 films of this year. The moment you've all been waiting for.
Liam, would you like to walk everyone through like the novel list, like the rules? Can we kind
Okay,
of follow
so-
on this one?
We both made lists of the 10 films we really enjoyed from the films this year. And they have to be films from this year or late last year. Or handicap-ish.
Yeah, so I'm putting this in. There are a couple of films that were sort of technically released in the USA last year, but
Yeah.
seeing as we're British, a couple films only came over here late this year, so they are counted, but they have been given a handicap.
So we've made our separate lists. We've battled it out.
Checked it twice.
We da 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 holiday season. And we combined what we came up with, and we've battled it out, and we got our list.
Yeah, we spent like at least 45 minutes to an hour hashing
Yeah.
this out between us, didn't we?
Yeah, because we do have some personal preferences.
Yeah.
But we did quite well actually. Like
Yeah.
we started off straight away with 3 in the right places.
Yeah, like we agreed on we agreed on 3 to start off with, and like there was only one that was really difficult.
Yeah, that's extreme personal preference.
Yeah,
10 being
the lowest.
the lowest but good film,
Yeah.
and then 1 being the best film this year. in our
It's not
opinion.
like there's anything in this list that is a stinker.
Yeah, we like these films, and we think you would too. Let's start
Honourable,
off with-
that's it. So perhaps some honourable mentions at the end, and stick around because we're going to be shoving up another video shortly after this with our very own
What are you
award
doing?
ceremony.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
never tell.
Up your chimney, shoving it up your chimney.
Just like Santa, but in
Yeah.
reverse.
We're like, yeah.
We're kind of like being anti-Santa here. You're shoving it up the chimney.
Moving swiftly on, like Santa on his sleigh.
Do you want to start this one off?
Okay, we're gonna start with number 10 today. Not any other day, just today. For number 10, we have No Escape. That film that was in June-ish time,
Yeah, like
was
June-ish
mid-year.
time.
mid-year.
I think it came out. I can't quite remember when it came out, but it came out on the tail end of the summer like blockbuster season.
Sadly, you may not have actually heard of this film because I remember when it came out, I didn't know anything about it. Like, I went to cinema, I've seen it, and I haven't heard anything about it since. sort of
Yeah,
thing. It was-
like
I felt quite bad for it.
yeah, like what's it? What one of the it did kind of get a bad rep from one of the from like, at least one of the critics over in the UK was saying it was pretty racist, and I can understand where said critic is coming
yeah.
from. Its idea of Asia is a little bit
Okay, yeah,
it's
we
a
put it
little
like
bit
that.
wonky.
Yeah.
It's just like, where are we going? Asia.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But all that said, it was an intense film, wasn't it?
I think the reason we put it in number 10, like, it could have been another film, was because it surprises you that it's good. Like, you watch
Yeah.
it and you're like, actually, I'm kind of glad I've seen this. This was a ride. This was a ride.
It
This
was
film was
one
alright.
of the most intense films this year. And like the one bit towards the end, though, like the climax
Oh,
of this
yeah.
film was just brutal and so tense.
Keeps you on edge, that film. And I
Yeah.
actually kind of like the actor in it.
Yeah.
Blonde face with broken nose, you'll know him.
Yeah, blonde face. Blonde face.
Blonde head, face, broken nose. Usually plays a cowboy.
Mm. Owen Wilson.
There
that's
we
it.
go. Owen Wilson. I
Yeah.
quite like his actor.
Owen Wilson was kind of like a nice kind of like family man in this.
It didn't have to be that actor, but
Yeah.
it's good to have him.
It didn't have to be Owen Wilson in that role. It could have been someone else. They could have just gone full taken and had Liam Neeson there.
That still would have worked.
That would have worked. But I'm just saying, Owen Wilson brought a like surprisingly relatable feel to that role.
Yeah, he was just a guy doing his job.
He was just a guy. That's kind
I
of
like that.
where the film. That's kind of his greatest strength is. He's just a guy. Just a dude.
Just
Just a dude.
making hard decisions. Just a dude.
Just a dude.
Dude.
There's one guy called the dude.
And then there's casually Pierce Brosnan. In it.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan pops up and he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which brings me on to the next one.
Number 9.
Ex Machina. I
mean,
believe
it's
it's officially Ex Machina.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah.
I was going to reference a game that uses the word machina and it is spelled like that, so I was just...
Yeah.
Okay. Ex Machina.
Great sci-fi film. It came out right towards the start of the year, about January, February odd time.
Yeah, it was an early start.
Yeah, and and it came out just earlier than a little earlier than Chappie, and like personally, I would have put it higher than Chappie, but like due to hashing out, it came to this spot as an on average thing.
Yeah.
I personally loved it. It deals with all sorts of interesting themes. It deals with like weird sexuality. Yeah, like its characters are really interesting and like relatable. It's funny at times,
Yeah.
but it also has this. I hasten to use the word poetic, but you can tell they're trying to do something like pushing the art side of cinema a little bit more than usual on this one.
Yeah.
Like, it's really well filmed and has a very tight cast. It revolves almost entirely around the interactions between 3 people.
Yeah. Just 3 people.
Yeah.
Wait for...
There's four people, but like 3
But the 3
main
main characters.
characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like its setup is really nice. It asks all kinds of weird questions, goes in some interesting directions.
It covers quite a few theories about the future and stuff and all that jazz.
And it has some amazing special effects as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it was made on a particularly high budget. Like, we're not talking, it's obviously not a micro budget, but it's, it's not huge Hollywood bloat fest. So, like, it made...
Probably the most expensive parts were probably the CGI and the renting of the building they used.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the main ones.
Bringing focus to that CGI point. Good lord, the CGI in this movie.
It is pretty good.
It's not used an awful lot, but when it is used, it's I wouldn't say it's seamless, because there are bits where it's used to do things that are impossible.
Yeah.
But it is so well implemented, and that's just.
I'm kind of sad we never got to see this one in cinema, you know.
Yeah.
It would have been quite get into it kind of feels.
Yeah, and it was like perhaps it might have been higher if we actually managed to see it in cinemas. Unfortunately, the only time we got to see this was when I got it on Blu-ray, because I missed it out. We kind of missed it out earlier in the year because we only decided to do 2D Revelations about halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Go figure. So I think that leads you on to number 8.
Number 8. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Chappie. The lovable robot. Yeah, we chose Chappie. We both kind of solidly chose Chappie, I think.
It was a pretty solid one. Like, as I mentioned, Ex Machina I would personally have put higher, but because we kind of average it out between us. It was based on what do we like? And we both really liked Chappie. Like, we know that like critics gave it a pasting, but personally, I
remember being in that cinema, being quite emotionally attached to this robot.
yeah, I remember like I distinctly remember crying
Yeah.
at that movie.
Like, we were in the cinema alone, and it was just like, oh my god, this film is great.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like, I'm aware that I'm in a minority for really
Yeah.
liking this movie, but to hell with it. Like, Dev Patel in this was really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I
Like,
agree.
he was really good. Like, it still puzzles me why Diane Wood are in this film as
Yeah.
Diane Wood, but not Diane Wood.
Yeah, they were kind of
There,
playing
but not
themselves,
there.
but not, yeah. Yeah, and they used a lot of the music score, which was kind of cool. Actually.
Yeah, like,
Like,
it was very strange.
They feel like it's Diane Wood playing Diane Wood, but they're not Diane Wood in the film.
But like throughout the film, like Chappie was like really cute and like cute and it's like no, and it has some really good action bits in it.
Yeah, like the robot
Mm.
going for the building and
Yeah. And just the bit at the end where Chappie beats the living shit out of Hugh Jackman's character.
Oh god, you throws him up in a roof, throws him through a wall, he gets wrecked. I forgot about that, that's so good.
Oh, it is worth. I'd say it's
Sorry,
worth
Hugh
getting
Jackman,
the.
but
It's
whoa.
worth getting the Blu-ray just for that beatdown.
That is an intense beatdown.
It's just brutal.
It's just he doesn't stop for like a whole 5 minutes of just Hugh Jackman getting thrown around his office complex. It's great.
And he's like, you know what, Chappie! Chappie!
Chappie, oh god. Chill.
It's perfect. It was like there's like a big, obviously big pitched battle at the end. I won't lie, there are a couple of down points to this movie, but by and large, I really... I see what you did there.
Sorry, carry on.
Oh, you.
You.
But,
What was that noise?
that was... I've broken you, haven't I?
Yep. Okay, you carry on.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Just Chappie. There are a few problems with it, but I think viewed broadly, Chappie was a fantastic movie, and like, again, this all boils down to personal taste, and it really clicked with us.
I actually think I quite like the director.
Yeah,
He's
like
done District 9
yeah,
and Thingy.
and Elysium,
And
and
it seems to have a nice-
again, people don't seem to like Elysium that much, and
I do like his take and feel on him.
yeah, I like the guy. I can't, his name escapes me right now.
Oh, I keep thinking it's like Neil something.
Neil Blomkamp, that's it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, sure, Blomkamp, and it's like, yeah, he's got this like cool, kind of consistently grimy idea of the future.
Yeah, it's always interesting his takes.
Yeah. Also, his use of South Africa.
Yeah,
is
oh, that
nice.
actor.
Yeah.
You're the main character in
District 9, the guy who plays Vickers.
And he's even in Elysium, yeah.
Yeah, he,
Quite
like,
him.
he comes back, he's pretty cool. Which I think leads us on to number 7. Which means, do I get this one?
You
I
get
think
this one.
Yeah. Ant-Man. The first one we ever reviewed. Yay! Yeah, but, yeah. Ant-Man was a blast. It really was. It was a huge surprise as well. Like, pretty much the entire way up to it, I was thinking, this film is gonna flop. Who the hell has heard of Ant-Man?
You just like ants, man.
Is
it ridiculous?
Yeah, like, this sounds like a dumb idea from the start. They're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. And then you heard about the original director who did, I say again, his name escapes me right now, but he did obviously the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, as well as Scott Pilgrim vs. World, which is one of your favourites.
And obviously you had all these other superhero films coming out which seemed like
Yeah.
big blossomings at the moment, and it was like Ant-Man. And it was like,
Yeah.
This might flop.
I mean, it came out either a couple months before or after Age of Ultron, didn't it?
Yeah, but I'm glad it stepped away.
And I think we can both agree. Even though I can't agree on this because I haven't seen. I avoided Age of Ultron because it looked like a huge bloated mess. But having seen Age of Ultron and Ant-Man, which do you think is better?
I'm actually going to go with Ant-Man because Age of Ultron's pretty actiony and cool, but Ant-Man was pretty funny. It worked. It worked way too well for what it was. Like Ant-Man.
Yeah.
It worked way too well.
It was a surprise. It was like opening a little box on Christmas Day. Yeah, Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas.
Christmas thing. On like opening a little box on Christmas Day and actually finding out that little box contains something like super awesome. Like and yeah, as opposed to having a huge box where you kind of expect what's in there and it's.
I mean,
you kind of know.
It comes with its negatives, but
yeah,
on the overall, there are just too many funny bits you can't miss.
It plays out almost like an action comedy. Yeah. It really is.
But
it's
works.
A romp.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's it? The character of
the choice.
Yeah, like the guy they had for Ant-Man is great. The actual character of Ant-Man himself is really cool. This guy's like sort of like down on his luck and just apologizes to everybody. And just Michael Douglas punching people in this movie. Michael Douglas just makes this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he's yes, and that little bit where he just
the note, the ultimate note. That bit makes the film.
That is just.
That's
so
what
good.
did it for me.
It is
like, hello, buddy. Yeah.
It's his response to it. That was a lot scarier 5 seconds ago.
While he's halfway on the ground, like.
It's just perfect.
Okay, I think that brings us on to number
6.
Oh, this is the one we couldn't actually decide on.
Yeah, this is. I don't know if it's cheating because it's a joint one.
It's the personal preference round.
Yeah, like this is almost like a wild card. Liam?
I chose Jurassic World for number 6.
And I chose John Wick for number 6.
Okay, so John Wick and Jurassic World are at number 6.
For the rest of it, we mostly agreed on what films were going to be on here.
Yeah.
Unlike Chappie, I didn't have Chappie on my list at all, and you had it somewhere else. And I was like, you know what, I can give you Chappie maybe on the ground there. But at number 6, it starts getting really tense. Neither of us wanted to give any ground.
Well, basically, the main reason I wanted Jurassic World is because I really love dinosaurs, and there aren't enough dinosaur movies out there, and it was amazing.
Yeah. The Good Dinosaur notwithstanding.
Yeah.
The Good Dinosaur was good.
It was visually impressive, but not my favourite dino film.
Yeah, this was arguably the better dinosaur film this year.
Yeah. And obviously you chose John Wick
because I personally feel that the simplicity behind John Wick is its greatest strength. The entire plot can be boiled down to 2 sentences. Sentence 1, Mob kills John Wick's dog. Sentence 2, John Wick kills Mob.
Don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed John Wick.
Yeah. I don't know if it feels to me almost like the purest expression of an action film. This sits there in sort of like the Raid or Dread 3D territory, where it is an action film, and you got an action film where the like backing around it, there's like story around it, isn't so much threadbare as it is brutally simple. to allow the action to properly unfold.
And it flows quite well.
Yeah, and the action itself on this film is just superb. It really is. With like the gun fu, the fantastic camera work, good use of sound and music throughout. And Keanu Reeves pulling a pretty great performance in this. In fact,
He breaks his normal role pretty well.
And again, to quote another one of the UK, another critic in the UK, this particular lady likened it to Birmingham Royal Ballet does Quentin Tarantino. I cannot fault that analogy. It just sums John Wick up perfectly. Like the visual fighting, it's just so good.
And then there's Jurassic World, which has various aspects, like, well, the main one, dinosaurs. Lots of dinosaurs. Yeah.
And Chris Pratt.
And Chris Pratt. And motorbikes. And cool futuristic technology. And nostalgia. If you've seen the original Jurassic Parks and stuff, you're like, oh my god, I recognize this place is amazing. And it's just, I don't know, I really, really enjoyed it. And there's dinosaurs.
I think this is a case where a film just completely clicks with you.
Yeah.
It just ticks all your boxes and like.
It's like, oh, I went to the cinema and I thoroughly enjoyed what I saw.
Yeah, like.
Visually appealing, very visually appealing to them.
Yeah, like my problems with it are with everything that's not the dinosaurs and or Chris Pratt. That like central thread I'll give you is just gold, but like personally I think the film starts falling down when you start hanging around with two kid protagonists in this, because I didn't like them that much, but you know.
One thing I can say, that I enjoyed the storyline and stuff, but there was one lady that just didn't deserve what she got.
Oh, that lady didn't deserve it.
She got nommed, and it was just like, I know she was kind of ignorant, but she didn't need that.
She didn't deserve that.
Like, there are worse guys in that film that could have had that death.
Although let's face it, that guy getting his hand rapted off
was good.
That was righteous.
And obviously, the massive dinosaur fight at the end, that was pretty sick.
That was pretty sick. Like, again, it's not that I hated this movie. I quite liked this movie. That's why we can agree on it being like a joint thing.
I like John Wick.
Yeah.
John Wick was good.
So, do you want to take number 5 or shall I?
What is number 5? I think you should do this.
Alright then. Number 5. Drum please. Song of the Sea. Oh, this one got a quiet release.
Yeah.
It sneaked into theatres in the UK. Like, it's stealth released. And as again, it's at number 5 with a handicap. Like John Wick, it also carries the handicap of technically sort of being released last year in the US.
Yeah.
But Song of the Sea is a perfect example of what animation can achieve.
It's beautiful.
It's visually stunning. Its sound is magnificent. Its characters are lovely, but like fantastical at the same time. Fantasy at the same time. Like they're believable, and the whole film flows at a very calm and relaxed pace that you kind of don't get. I've heard people refer to Tom Moore, the director of Song of the Sea and previously Secret of Kells, as the Western equivalent of Miyazaki.
Yeah, I was about to say, Studio Ghibli kind of feels.
Yeah, like if you like Studio Ghibli, chances are you'll probably really like Song of the Sea. And like, I have a mild interest in Ghibli, but I fell hook, line and sinker for this one. I really did. Again, like the music and anything. Just random number generate yourself a time code. Go to that time code in the film, hit print screen, boom, instant wallpaper. Every single frame in this movie is art.
Yeah, it's all watercolory and amazing.
And the style they've applied to it and everything. And that's not even touching on the, like, really nice, like, tightly knit cast and just how well they do the voices. They had actually a folk singer as their mother. Lisa Hannigan playing Brona, their mother. They had David Rawle, who's done some like TV work. I'm not entirely sure what, but I know he's done some TV work in the past as Ben, who is like the main, arguably the main character of it. He's like this like 10-year-old boy who's like a bit grumpy and like he plays Ben so believably. Brendan Gleeson plays the grief-stricken father of Connor.
Lovely Irish accent.
Oh, just the Irish accents all over this film.
There are a lot of Irish accents and they're all really good.
Because it's set in Ireland.
Yeah.
But, like, again, Brendan Gleeson plays the like grief-stricken father of Connor so well. It's convincing. Fionnuala Flanagan, who previously worked with him on The Guard, actually plays this grumpy old granny who's kind of a villain, sort of. She's definitely an antagonistic force, but she cares.
It's like when parents do things that their kids don't like, but you know when you're older you look at it and you're like, they're doing it because they care, sort of thing.
Precisely.
If that makes sense. Yeah, I think that sums it up very well.
Yeah, and again, the film plays on that later with like the sort of like bigger villain coming in being.
They were very similar, weren't they?
Yeah,
like,
there's intentional parallels between them.
The parallels in this, and it's subtle. The subtle parallels.
Like it's subtle but intentional.
Like I didn't think it up until towards the end of the film. I was like, wait, oh god.
Yeah. And again, the art on this film is amazing.
Yes.
Just
like
so good.
It's my desktop background still.
It's your desktop background.
It's my work
as well.
background. I have it swapping between 3 images. Morning, dusk and night. It's great.
That is so good. And the dog as well. The dog is adorable.
Yeah.
Q is adorable. And I think that leads us to number 4. And could you do Kingsman, Liam?
Kingsman. This was a film that actually surprised me. Like when we watched it, I didn't see it in cinema. We saw it on Blu-ray.
I saw it in cinema first, but then I showed Liam the Blu-ray.
I saw it on Blu-ray, and it literally took me by surprise. I loved this film. It was so good. Like I didn't expect it to be that good. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna watch a film called Kingsman. Don't get it. Boom. So much is going on. It was just great. It was so good.
Yeah, it felt refreshingly British as well.
Yeah.
It's refreshingly British.
Because after going with all these like high spy films and stuff,
yeah,
it was really nice to have this. It sits out. It doesn't go, I'm gonna be serious. It's like I'm gonna be kind of serious, but
it's just so much fun. Like there's just gags all over. There's really cool fight scenes in it. Like the opening of the film is Dire Straits' Money for Nothing backing up a helicopter with people hanging out shooting guns from it. And it just gets more cool from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it pretty much I wouldn't say culminates in, but the highlight of this film for me is the
fight scene.
Oh yeah, there's a 3-minute fight scene just towards the end of the film.
It's about 2/3 in. I'd say.
About 2/3 in. Yeah, about 2/3 in. Good God, if that isn't one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. Just like 3-minute fight scene to the Freebird solo. It's genius.
I think another thing I liked about this film, like I said, I think it was a funny film. There are lots of funny bits, but it wasn't a comedy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made it work as well. It wasn't trying to be funny. but there were funny bits, and lots happens
Yeah.
in a good way.
It also had quite an interesting take on the whole like generic spy movie kind
Yeah.
of ethos. I mean, there were other spy movies that came out this year that were pretty good, but they just kind of threw a generic spy plot at us. This gave us an interesting villain in Richmond Valentine, and just hilariously had Samuel L. Jackson lisping. that alone is worth the price of admission.
And an interesting common main character kind of feel. Like,
Yeah.
They didn't go for some posh, oh, I'm a spy. They've gone for, like, he's just a kid.
Yeah, the
Not a
character
kid,
of Eggsy in this is
Yeah.
is great. It was like got a real chip on his shoulder, like inner city London, like council estate kid.
Yeah, it was, he was kind of chavvy, but it worked.
Mm.
Like, you can associate with this chap.
Yeah, and throughout the film, it's just littered with loads of great bits of dialogue, and
It's just got a good cast. Like,
Yeah.
the characters all work
I
pretty
mean,
well.
it's also. It contains the single strangest action hero ever. Colin Firth beating ass down.
Yeah.
Like, Colin Firth action scenes. Don't put them together. This movie puts them together. It puts them together so hard.
It saved his acting, I swear.
It's,
I don't know, I fell out with his acting for a little
Yeah.
while, but seeing him in this film was like, yes, you're doing something good, bro.
it's just so good. And I believe that takes us on to number 3. Then.
We're in the bottom 3 now.
Yeah, I think it's my turn.
Yeah, this is your go. You got that one that I'm not staring at closely.
It's Mad Max Fury Road.
Wow.
Oh, you couldn't get a more effortlessly awesome film than
This film is just great. It's manly, it's guitar-y, car-y.
Mad Max Fury Road is everything that bad action movies desperately want to be. Mad Max Fury Road is a masterpiece of action cinema. It really is.
It's really well,
Yeah.
beautifully, visually.
It's shot fantastically. The sound is fantastic. The performances are fantastic.
Colours.
The colours are great. All the cars in that movie were real. Everything you see in that movie, by and large, is real.
Yeah. The special effects were real.
Yeah, up to and including a freaking guitar guy on the front going warm with the flame from
With giant amps behind him shooting fire, people with drums on the back of the vehicle.
Just oh,
That's the way to ride into battle. That
Just-
is the way.
there is
There's a
so
new
much
standard.
cool and the big chase at the end when they were just trying to get back and they're like dragging it and the people on the poles and it's you can't go 5 minutes in this movie without going, damn, that was cool, or whoa, that's awesome.
And
It's just
it keeps you pretty,
yeah.
like, you're captivated by this film. You want to
Yeah.
know what's happening. And
It just doesn't stop. I've heard it again. I don't know if I kind of called it to you. I'd heard it before, but when I described this to my friend and said, it's a 90-minute car chase. It's a 2-hour movie, 90 minutes of which are a car chase.
And it's surprisingly, it was good.
That's it. If you were to take the words heavy metal and just say, what is heavy metal? What does heavy metal as a concept look like? Just watch this movie.
Yeah.
I think you can agree on that. And that brings us on to...
Wait.
Oh.
Tom Hardy.
Oh,
He
yes.
was a really good choice for Max.
Tom Hardy is a great choice for Max in this film. Strangely sort of lacking an Australian accent, but I can totally get past that.
And the music in this film was pretty good.
Mm.
And
Yeah, it
the
was-
antagonist.
Just Immortan Joe was great. Yeah, and I think that takes us on to number 2 spot. Liam.
Number 2, we chose Crimson Peak.
Yes, we did.
Because that film was freaking amazing!
Just, it really was.
The characters, the visuals, the story, just... Oh, that film is so
Mm.
beautiful. And by one of the greatest directors ever.
Whenever you say that, it's open to interpretation.
Okay, well, personally, I love Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, we both love Del Toro, and this is an absolutely fantastic movie. It's like part romance, part horror, part mystery, part thriller. It's
Part incest.
don't remind me.
Just drop that in there.
Just drop that.
Someone
drop
gets
that
stabbed
one.
in the face, like... It's grim.
Oh.
Yeah. The dude who plays Loki.
Yeah, it was like, there's just so many great performances in this movie as well. Jessica Chastain nailed it. Charlie Hunnam nailed it. Can't even think of his name. I'm trying to say Chris Hemsworth, but it's not Chris Hemsworth. What's
I
his?
think it is.
It's not Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth, huge, bulky eyes, who plays Thor. Mia Wasikowska is fantastic in this, and Tom Hiddleston nailed it.
Nailed it! When I first went to see this film, I didn't really know much about it, and I was kind of worried, because I wasn't a big fan of Mia Wasikowska and Alice in Wonderland, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what she did in the meantime between that and this.
But she did well in this film.
Yeah, like totally brought it back. Like she, even her face worked in this movie. Everything about this film, visually,
Oh, yeah.
is just
The effects,
superb.
the ghosts, the clay.
The clay oozing out,
Oh, yeah.
the sets, like the amazing amount of like detailed shadows in this. Nothing is lost in this. Not a single scene is shot in such a way that things are like obscured by blackness or something. It's so good.
And the bleeding
Really?
snow.
Yeah, that. And the frigging ghost at the start.
And the creepy skeleton ghosts
Ugh.
crawling.
Ugh.
That was horrible. Especially when she opened the door and it was there, and it was like, ugh, no, I don't. That was scary.
We both note pretty hard.
I won't lie, it scared me quite a few times.
And the whole like butterfly moth imagery
Yeah.
throughout the whole film.
Close-ups of the insects and stuff.
Yeah, that was all sorts of creepy. Like insects,
Overly detailed.
like up close insects killing each other.
I
And
really
like,
like this film.
oh, it was just so good.
It really knows how to play on colours and special effects.
I desperately want this on Blu-ray.
I would like to see it again.
I would even go as far as to say, when 4K Blu-ray comes out, I want this on 4K Blu-ray. Because I just want more of this film. It's time.
It's time for the final spot.
It's time for number 1.
I feel like we should do a dance.
Should we do a
Let's
dance?
do a dance. Wait, that's... In number 1! In number 1!
3, 2, 1. Inside Out. Nailed it.
Vice versa.
As it's called in France.
Yeah, Inside Out.
Where do we begin? I swear we haven't rehearsed this.
We haven't
Seriously.
rehearsed, Where do we begin?
Just everything from the voices to the
story,
music
to the idea.
Inside Out not only perfectly executes its story, but gives us a story that is somehow simultaneously beautifully complex and like out there, but also beautifully simple.
Yeah. Simple concept,
Yeah.
awesome story.
Like, if you were to take the emotions out of this movie and take all of it out, you would be left with a very simple premise. Girl moves to San Francisco, girl doesn't like it, girl runs away, and then comes back. And that in itself is its own nice little story.
But to see everything going
Yeah.
on in the mind.
It's a completely new world.
Yeah.
It's Mag. Don't you? It's so detailed. Loads of little things like how the emotions interact with the console. The fact that the console grows over the course of Riley's life. The fact that the train of thought is an actual train of actual thought.
The ball memories. And
The ball memories and how the core memories work with the rest of the... It works. The entire film works on a physical, mechanical level. Like our whole world that we've not seen. It's like, it's so good.
I'm surprised no one did it before him, to be fair.
There has been stuff with like the idea of personified emotions inside someone's head
I've seen
before.
the shoulder guys.
Yeah, like there's
That's
thing like
good
shoulder, thing like the quick,
Yeah.
one more crack like that and you're out of here.
Oh no, please, I'm a wife and imaginary children!
Somehow that concept over 95 minutes is the best film this year.
It's because the 5 emotions they chose, their characters are beautiful.
Yeah.
How they interact with each other, bing bong. And the floor is lava.
Again, it's all the little things. Like, as
It's
you
the
say,
little
the
things.
floor is lava. Like, at one point, it's just a throwaway gag. They don't pay any attention to it, but they're jumping over stuff.
Literally less than
And
a
it's
minute.
literal lava they're jumping over.
It's great.
Just like, just all the voices they used for this film were perfect. From Riley's family to her emotions to Riley herself were great. It's like the mind workers going around. You got this idea that Riley's head is just full of these tiny little people. It felt like a real living, breathing world, and I can't stress this enough. It works.
The animation, even up close, was so beautiful.
Ugh.
They have really outdone themselves.
Like, do you remember watching Monsters Inc? Or even better, do you remember Toy Story
Yeah.
and Sid?
It's like with Toy Story, they did really well on like the backgrounds and stuff,
Like,
but everything else.
The original Toy Story, like, the
But-
fact that they could render Sid at all was amazing.
Yeah.
But Riley and all the characters, all the human characters in this movie are just like a couple of tweaks away from being like photorealistic humans. It's clear at this point that they could have done photorealistic humans. It's been done before. There was a movie that did photorealistic humans. It was called Mars Needs Moms, and it was, if I'm not wrong, the second biggest box office bomb ever. Point being, they know how they made these perfectly done. Like, even Riley's hair is just great in this. It moves fluidly and like
Facial emotions.
in fact, the expressions, it's just so good. And the score for this is beautiful. Like a really, like it's got this like really sparse and open but intimate feeling kind of like central motif going along it, as well as like different bits of music to accompany the more exciting bits.
Quite piano-y kind of.
Yeah, and there's a bit when they're all like rushing around and trying to do it.
I'm thinking about the bit where she's ice skating as well. It's really
Oh,
serene.
that
chill.
bit is just fantastic.
This film is about feels. And guess what it does? It gives you all the feels.
It feels the movie. Just all of it. All of it. Even down to the fact that the emotions seem to be made of tiny little floating...
Like sparkly
not
magic dust.
pixels. I was going to say pixels then. No, not pixels. Particles.
They're like little floating sparkly particles.
Yeah, they're all like made of little floating particles. They're so tiny and like they're all modelled perfectly. Like anger looks like the guy looks like Bill from Falling Down, just scaled right down. That's it. It's like Bill from Falling Down meets Super Meat Boy. Just smash the two together, you got anger. I like the idea of disgust being this like stereotypically like prissy American high school kind of type. That worked. Fear was like, yeah.
This comes back to the voice actors again. They chose the perfect voice actors for
Yeah,
each character.
Like Lewis Black as anger was genius. It really is. And the characters are all, and even the emotions are so expressive. Like you see sadness, and like she has like a small mouth, and when she smiles, it's like it's so adorable. I just want to hug her sadness.
And she's like slow moving and cute, and then Joy's there like, ooh.
And she kind of like has
move
stubby
very
little
differently,
legs.
yeah.
She has stubby little legs, so she takes really long strides
And
really
just,
quickly to
Ang-
catch up with her.
Anger's got kind of Dexter syndrome with feet.
Yeah.
And Fear? Yeah, he's just kind of like.
He's like really lanky and sort of
Kind
like
of
keeps his
insecure,
feet
yeah.
and, like all kind of wrapped up and
Discusses away like, yeah.
yeah.
Sadness is just like, really?
Oh, but like, even and as well, this film it has no villain.
Yeah,
And
explores a lot of
It
areas.
didn't need it. It made a sort of like instrumental threat. It made a girl getting onto a bus a horrible end of the world scenario. I think that is just about the point where I realised, yeah, this movie is gonna take a lot to top this. It really was. Like the bit when Riley gets on the bus, my heart was just pounding. It was like, oh God, please don't get on the
It got
bus. Oh
tense.
God, the bus is moving. It's so
It's
tense.
when she gets on the bus and it starts moving.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you can't get off the bus if it's moving.
Yeah.
And it feels really like, oh no, this has happened.
And
This
she
is
just
happening.
shuts down, and you see it happening in real time. You're like,
Bit by bit,
Ugh.
she breaks away and you're there like, oh God, I can see all this.
yeah. And there's even one bit where the first of the islands goes down, and it's a long shot. It lasts about 8 to 10 seconds of just this one island slowly falling into the abyss while Joy's just standing there, completely shocked, unable to do anything, and it just hangs on this one island, slowly falling away. It's like grinding and crunching and crumbling as it falls down. It's just so good. Anything else?
I would die for you, Riley.
Oh, but that was great. that was a great bit. And Bing Bong.
I would die for you. Yeah, Bing Bong.
Take her to the moon for me.
The feels.
You will feel.
But no, this film. So if you're gonna watch any film this year or ever, just watch it, Liz.
Just watch Inside Out. I stand by what I said earlier this year. This is my second favourite Pixar film, and it's not second by a long margin either.
You first won The Incredibles.
Yeah, it sits like a shoulder below The Incredibles. It is just that good.
And that's our list. That's our top 10.
That is the top 10.
Any quick honourable mentions you want to just throw in there?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I'd like to put out a special honorable mention to Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. That was a good, solid action movie, and that has some great moments in it.
Okay, and we also got Spectre.
Yeah, that had an awesome moment.
Tomorrowland,
That was also a great fun.
and Sicario.
Sicario will come back. We'll probably
Yeah.
come back to it.
There are so many negatives to it, but there are so many positives to it.
Yeah, like Sicario is an enigma.
Yeah.
Anything else you particularly want to pull up?
Honorable mentions. Good Dinosaurs, visually appealing. And that's about it.
And that about concludes it.
Yeah, we're done. That's your top 10 for this year. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Not like there's another big film coming out.
No,
So-
you know, lightsabers and stuff. That isn't coming out until next year, totally. Yeah, totally. Next year.
Totally next year. Okay.
No,
Shh. And I think that's just about it.
I think.
Tootie out.